Really appreciate the opportunity to be here. And yes, the jet lag was real yesterday, not today. I'm actually doing a lot better, so it's all good. I just want to do a quick introduction for what this session is going to be. This is going to be more of a Q&A, so we'll set this up, and I'll be interviewing my close friend Giles here from Cohesity, and then we'll turn it over once we're done with some Q&A back and forth. We'll turn it over to you for questions on that you might have. So take notes, and if you do have any questions at the end, we'll go from there. So just a quick introduction for myself. I'm the president and CRO of Skillable. We are a virtual hands-on lab platform, the largest one in the market, the world, covering everything from cloud to data center to in every kind of technology and digital skill in the market today. So we've been around for about 25 years, and we're happy to boast that many of you on this slide are either partners of ours or were at one point or via another partner, and so we're familiar with most of you here. So with that, Giles, I'll turn it over to you for a quick introduction.
Thanks, Mark. I was just looking at my photo. I'm like, I really need to update my LinkedIn photo. I'm like, that's nearly 10 years ago, I think. Anyway, so I'm Giles Storrie. I'm a director of customer education at Cohesity. Been with Cohesity for 24 years now. Cohesity is actually only 11 years old, which is a bit strange, but I through acquisitions, have obviously transitioned through to Cohesity. So previously I was with Veritas Software. I don't know if any of you know about Veritas, but yeah, transitioned through acquisition into Cohesity. I live here in the UK, in Reading, and I have a couple of my colleagues sat just over there with me, part of the customer education team. So that's me.
Awesome. Thanks, Giles. Okay, we're going to move right into then just a bit of an intro. Well, who's Cohesity? Giles is the best one to do this, but I do want to just provide a quick overview, and then I'll invite Giles to add anything to it. But Cohesity is basically a leading provider of data management and security solutions in really the world today. And their unified platform, as you can see here today, is a hyper-converged data cloud platform, simplifies everything from data protection to cyber and ransomware data protection practices, and it's really focused on security insights and protection. One of the things that I love most about Cohesity is the fact that there's 13,000 customers globally. Over 70% of the Global 500 are customers, and then about 85, I think today, of the Fortune 100 are customers. Also of Cohesity, so it makes them basically the leading provider in the market today, at least by market share and probably overall revenue as well. So just a really, really impressive organization that Cohesity is. Anything you would add to hit the?
I think you've hit the hand on the head. Yeah, that's us.
Awesome. So we'll set. I want to set up just briefly why we're here. Cohesity and I and us, Skillable, have been partners for some time now. And so we have this really fun story that we're going to talk a little bit about today, and we're hoping that it will be useful to you. We're hoping that there's some insights that from the way Cohesity has developed their training program, customer enablement and training program, that will be useful to you all today. So we're going to just talk about that story. Before getting into that, there's a bit of history with how Cohesity has done this, and just to kind of set this up. Since 2018, Cohesity has been a veteran in this game in terms of investing in hands-on labs and training solutions. In 2018, they consolidated everything into one platform and vendor, and really what that did is it had a major impact on what they were doing and the success of their programs today. Decreasing setup and maintenance costs was a major windfall from that move that they made. Increasing customer satisfaction, getting it to over 90%, whereas before that it was not the best. And so that consolidation effort was a really, really big move. Since then, from about 2022 to 2024, the investment in hands-on has really enabled them to have better quality across all their regions in everything they're doing across their training program. So it's increased the customer satisfaction, the NPS of what they've done. And then we added hands-on to their self-paced training programs as well, in addition to ILT and VILT and what they were doing. So if you look at some of the data here, I think it's really impressive. 83% increased skills and job performance after training. It's a really, really high increase in what they were doing previous to what they had before. And then 65% support ticket reduction from trained customers. So just a really impressive showing since that time. So a couple last points here, and then we'll get right into the questions. But scaling hands-on and through customer enablement, what this has allowed, the moves that Cohesity has made, has really allowed them to do a couple of very important things. One of the priorities was make business easier for customers, make it easier to do business with Cohesity. And so leveraging partners to deliver high-quality experiences, reducing churn in every single region. These were a couple of the most important priorities that they were able to accomplish by consolidating everything into one provider and ultimately focusing on the hands-on strategy that they had at the time. And then we obviously, in partnership, Cohesity launched the Authorized Training Program, or ATP program. Some of you might have similar programs as well. And in doing so, providing official content that then could be leveraged by the ATPs. And today we're kind of the backbone for some of that, leveraging our LMS platform that we have. We are not an LMS platform, to be clear, but it's just a kind of a free offering that we give to our customers as a way to enable their training programs through labs. What is your key role at Cohesity, Giles, and what is the initiatives that you're responsible over, and how long have you been doing that?
Okay, so at the moment, so as I say, I am the Director of Customer Education. So part of the group that me and my team are under is Cohesity Academy. So we have, I know I've spoken to a few of you, the Academy term is used quite a bit. So our Academy umbrella encompasses different areas of the business. So customer education is my little strand. Then we also have content production. So that is not just around customer courses, that's around partner training, internal training, really anything that goes into our LMS production. So we have a lot of close working on the soft skills with HR, just to make sure that is consumable internally. We also have support training under the Academy umbrella. So we work, my peer works very closely with all the support and customer success leads to make sure that we have the right amount of training, the right scope of training. We also have the technical field enablement, so the SE and the partner technical enablement. So we also have that, and then the other branch of the umbrella is we have operations around the systems, so our LMS, but we also have the content development side. So one of my peers looks after all of the content, whether it be for customers, for the internal guys as well, so working with our support lead, and then working obviously alongside me with regards to Skillable. They look after a lot of the development of the labs within Skillable to ensure that obviously they're kept up to date, because obviously we have license keys that expire, and making sure that everything is when a customer goes into the lab that it is up to date and there's no issues and things like that. So making sure our lab builds are always kept up to date. So so that's my current role. So my current team. So my current role is really around the customer education. So that's making sure that we're able to deliver our courses to our customers globally. So whether that's Cohesity run courses, so they are predominantly virtual, probably like a lot of you in the room as well. But we also have, as Mark said, we have an authorized training partner program. So we work with, I think it's about 20 odd partners. Some are more active than others within around the globe. So me and my team work proactively with them to ensure the program is successful, and we have the local language capabilities, and we have the scope of courses available to the customers worldwide, to make sure that the customers are able to consume our training, because ultimately that's what we want. We want more consumptions for people taking our training.
Question two is a follow-up, is thinking back to when you joined a few years ago, or just over the past little while. What were the largest challenges that your training organization was facing when you joined, and if you don't mind, maybe how did you overcome some of those things?
Okay, so when I joined, so I joined back in 2002, as I say, with Veritas, and Jeff over there was one of my colleagues in the US. So looking back then, probably like a lot of you, we were classroom only, right? That was our go-to-market. We had physical classrooms, and we had authorized training partner classrooms. So back then, obviously, it was making sure that we were able to ensure our equipment was up to date, our labs were up to date. We were printing materials and things like this, and obviously, you look now and the world's completely changed with how we actually go to deliver our courses. But obviously, one of the biggest issues, and I guess a lot of you would have experienced this, is around obviously having physical systems in a room was expensive, right? And keeping them up to date, and making sure that we were able to give the customer the right experience when they were coming to our classroom. So it wasn't always feasible for us to be in every location due to the cost. It was just too much. And also because we had authorized partners, pretty much almost from the start, from when I was there, we were also running into issues, and I don't know how many of you ran into issues, but with licensing. So we had our lab images that we had, and we had to send them around to all of our training partners, and I think we got into a little few difficulties with licensing. Allowing our partners to use our lab images on their premises, which kind of didn't go well with some of the vendors that we were working with. So back then it was really different, and obviously I talk about printing materials, and I'm sure I remember somebody else saying this last time. I remember like literally last minute we get somebody come on a course, and you go and look in the manual cupboard and there's no manuals, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And you have to rush through a print job with your printing vendor, and and then you'll be looking at on-site delivery. You've got to send, Jeff, remember this, sending our equipment here, there, and everywhere, and it's like, is it going to come back in one piece? Are you going to come back with something missing? The flight cases that you have, you spend a lot of money on them, they come back and there's a wheel missing. You're like, come on, and everything, you just never know what it's going to be when it comes back. So, back then there was, it was fun, but there was a lot of challenges around the delivery of our courses.
Question for you is, all right, so when you had some of these challenges, the expensive nature of the equipment, or what steps did you start taking to try to resolve those? What were you thinking at the time, and ultimately what did you guys do?
Yeah, so back then, obviously we had to make a change, and really there was a growing demand in the US, especially around virtual, move away from classroom. And that was really one of the areas, and as I say, I keep looking at Jeff because Jeff was there at the time, and we kind of had to move away, and we were looking at what we could do, and we moved we identified moving to a virtual lab provider at that time. They were based in Canada. They're not around anymore, but that was our first real tentative steps into the virtual lab world. And obviously, there was a lot of ups and downs with it. The provider, whilst was good sometimes, it was bad sometimes. We had a lot of connectivity issues. And really, I guess it was kind of the start of the kind of cloud computing for us, really looking at, how we would, interface with a virtual provider and just, trying to make that work. And as I say, there was a lot of issues that came with that. And, things like latency. I remember, some of the customers maybe from EMEA would try and join one of the US classes, and they would be suffering a lot of latency issues. And it was just, it was one of those situations that we went with the provider. We kind of just invested our time there, but we kind of got stuck with it in a way. And, but we also had to balance the act of, things like in EMEA or APJ, customers still wanted classroom training. They still wanted to, well, they still do actually, a lot of them, but they still wanted class training. So we then had the virtual side and we had the physical side. So we were trying to maintain both, and it just, in the end, it wasn't really truly working for either of them. So, that was kind of our first real steps to address the issues that we were having with the physical classroom. But it was still kind of in that middle ground, that middle area, before we were really able to try and immerse ourselves in a full kind of virtual lab environment.
What did this end up solving for you? Ultimately, when we partnered with you, what were some of the things that we were able to solve by consolidating and ultimately, becoming partners with us?
We identified LOD as a key player for us at the time. So we obviously went through our due diligence, testing. We were looking for a solution where we could obviously build our lab environments within the platform, and then obviously from a scalability side to make sure that we were able to scale up fast with it, because once we made the switch, we knew we would have to scale fast with it, and we were looking for a provider that obviously would give us that scenario. But also from a rest of world perspective, we suffered with having the vendor before in Canada, and the networking side, especially for people in China and Japan and Malaysia, they were suffering with the experience of being on our training. So we wanted to make sure that obviously a vendor that we went for had the presence of data centers in different locations, and we were able to offer that to the customers. So ultimately, when we were looking at all of those, that was kind of the selection process that we went for. And I'm sure many of you have done the same thing, right? You've done that approach to make sure that you have your outcomes that you want to get to, and you make sure that the provider you go with is able to give you that. And obviously for us at the beginning of the partnership, we chose LOD, and that was obviously where we are.
Again, irrespective of us, what has been the greatest ROI or measurable business outcome that you have had in your hands-on strategy today? How would you characterize that for the audience?
So I think the biggest thing for us, and I think my team would agree with me, is the feedback we get, the kind of overall CSAT scores or NPS scores, however you measure your training. So our scores are consistently 90%, over 90% favorable rate. And for us, that's the key metric that we look at. So we survey all of our customers. Obviously, I'd like more customers to fill it in, and we try everything trying to get them to fill it in, but they don't always fill in the surveys. But that's our biggest thing for us. And we look for comments. How people are enjoying the courses. Instructor, registration process, etc. The content that's included, but also the lab infrastructure. How was it? What was your experience? Any comments? And one of the key things is that we get very, very, very few negative feedbacks on the lab infrastructure.
One of the things that I pull out of what you're saying is just the ability to scale, the ability to really reach more and more people, partners, learners in the strategy that you have as being just a massive global company.
We were joking around, I can't remember who we were talking to, me and my team, but we were saying it's more our lab builds that get criticized than the actual infrastructure, right? As I said, a licensing perspective, a license key's gone out of date or something, and somebody can't do the lab, and they have to do a what's the name case, a ServiceNow case to get it addressed. But yeah, and from the Skillable side, and I'm sure obviously other vendors do as well, the first line support that they have, is 24/7. So most of my team are based in the UK with me, but we have one person in APJ, but they're obviously not always online. So if to have that support of a 24/7 kind of first line support is fantastic for us, because if somebody's not able to log into something, they're able to provide first line support. From our side, the move to the virtual lab was fantastic. And it also enables us, to work with partners that they can obviously access, our labs through the same portal. So from a customer experience, it doesn't matter whether they're with Cohesity or whether they're with our authorized partner, they'll still get the same experience of that lab.
So in addition to that, I wonder if you might talk just a little bit about where today, just transition. This is every conference we all go to. It's embedded in every bit of the messaging today, and for good reason. Everyone's focused on AI. Where does AI fit into your strategy today, from a hands-on perspective, or even just an overall customer and partner enablement perspective?
From an AI perspective, it is tricky, but we are using AI, right? So internally, a lot of our compliance training, our ethics training, we're now using avatars, right? So we're all of our e-courses that we have to do are AI generated. All the text to scripts, are all embedded into AI. We use Synthesia, to produce a lot of the content now, and a lot of people enjoy it, right? Some people say, oh, that's so AI generated. Obviously you can tell, right? Sometimes, but a lot of them, you can do different things really fast. You can do different things. So from our side, that is one of the things that we are using it for. From the content side, from the customer side, we are starting to use AI. So we have a internal version of ChatGPT that we are using. So we're using that to create a lot of our content. So not our labs, but our content. So that's helping to speed up our process of creating the content. I think we really would like to get to lab creation, because that's probably our heaviest lift at the moment, where we have the creation of all the lab guides, the lab steps and things. So that's something that obviously we are going to look at from that. So we're kind of very early stages of using that from our content side. I've just been working with my team around the sales side. So Skylar, who's there, I've been tasking her to work with agents, trying to create something within our ChatGPT environment for sales. So the idea is that, you know, the salesperson would go in and say, right, my customer's got, you know, Data Protect, one of our products. We've got this node, this you know, this setup, and what course would you recommend, right? So it becomes very much a kind of self-service thing, and we've been having fun in games with that. You know, I think one of the funniest things was that it created a course that we don't even have, right? So, well, they call it hallucinations, and it's just like, and then it keeps coming back with the older version, and we're like, well, we haven't told you the older version. We specifically tell you no, but it still keeps bringing it back. So it's very much trial and error with us at the moment. And I know that the sales enablement team are also looking at role plays, so where you have the conversational AI, so you're kind of conversing with it, and then they'll look at your performance. It'll come back and tell you how you've done, you know, where do you need to go, what do you need to do, and really trying to help with their enablement. So that's been a real positive on their side. We're also looking at performance-based testing as well. So I know that's kind of not technically AI, but we are kind of looking at that. And we are also, from a certification point of view, we're currently looking at different vendors to move our certification creation. Because obviously we want to start making use, so our current provider doesn't really go into it from an AI side, but we want to start, you know, utilizing AI for item creation, from looking at the JTAs. I know there's been a lot of talk about that, because we're not doing that at the moment, and also from a proctoring and things like this. So reporting. So I would say that from an AI side, you know, we are really kind of just at the beginning, but we're looking to embrace as much as we can. But I don't want us to go, you know, too fast, right? I know we're kind of probably going to have to, but you know, when speaking to Laurie, you know, you kind of feel like you kind of have to go fast, but I want to make sure that what we do have is appropriate and, you know, is something that is going to obviously bring a lot of ROI back to us.
In handing over a good deal of the responsibility of lab creation to a third party, how has that impacted your ability to create labs with realistic environments using domain-specific data? We struggle a lot with even having everything in-house for lab creation. Domain knowledge to be able to create realistic customer-like environments is difficult. So how do you handle that? And how much do you still have to deal with, and how much can you hand off to Skillable?
So from a lab creation side, it's I wouldn't say that we are passing everything over to Skillable. It's more the case that Skillable giving us the environment for us to be able to create the labs within their environment, rather than having to do it elsewhere and then move it over. So we're able to obviously have the lab build. So all of our kind of engineers that build the labs are able to go in there, and we haven't got multiple different systems to have to go and create all the step-by-step stuff. It's all within one environment, so we don't lose any downtime from that.
On the first slide, I think you put some metric up on, I couldn't quite write it down, I missed it, with 83% higher job, I can't remember what it said.
Job satisfaction, yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to know how you got to that metric as well, and was that through what you implemented versus what you had done previously?
So that's our NPS score. So we check in with our delegates after 30 days, then after 90 days. and we basically asked them about their job and how the impact of training has affected their day-to-day work, and that's basically the score that we get back, and it's really pleasing that we get really high scores back from the customers saying that they are able to apply what they're learning in their day-to-day role. And a lot of the feedback we get is that and this is always great to hear, and I guess obviously any of you that have this sort of feedback, they go on training, they find stuff that they didn't know they could do before, they didn't know the product did before, which is amazing because it obviously helps our side in the fact that we get positive results, but also from a customer side, from a company side, because the customer's getting more use out of their product, which is what we want, right? We want them to use it, fully, because that's one of the biggest issues is that, a customer takes the product, but they don't fully use it. And then they go to a competitor because the competitor's able to show them, oh, we can do this, but our product can do it, but they don't realize.
Is the authorized training partner able to create their own labs? And how do you monetize that? Or is that free, or do you charge a fixed fee per year or something like that to cover the costs? Or is it a revenue share? Is it a royalty model? What sort of structure do you have?
Okay, so they don't create their own labs. They utilize our labs that we build within the system. Now, from a ATP program, and I've been talking to here, I've been kind of picking their brains. So we currently work with a revenue share model with our authorized partners, and we're finding that it's kind of hindering us more than it's benefiting us. It's great from a commercial side for us, from a bookings or revenue perspective, but it's not incentivizing our partners, and it's really tricky. I've done a lot of research. Looking around, and as I say, a lot of research includes you guys as well, and this is why I love CEdMA, right? Because I can talk to you all about it. And one of the things that we're hearing loud from our ATPs is they want to move to a kit model. And I know why they want to move to a kit model, because it's obviously more beneficial, more margin from their side. So obviously one of the things that obviously we are trying to look at, and one of the things we're looking at with Skillable is their TMS, the training management system they go in. One of the things that we're trying to look at if we do move, so we're thinking of moving to a kit model, is how can we make our partners self-sufficient? So we don't even talk to them weekly, right? So at the moment, Michaela and my team will work with the authorized partners to make sure that the courses are in our system, that they have the access, that they have, everything is working. But how can we get to a more self-serve perspective with our ATPs? So one of the things that we're looking at is that the authorized partners have their own TMS. So they will just go in, their own login, they'll set up the courses, they'll assign the students, they will put the instructor in, the ebook will be delivered via the Skillable interface, the lab. So we don't talk to them, right, until we come to a quarterly review. We do a QBR with them. And then we'll do a true up with them to see. So one of the things that we're working on is to get feedback from Skillable directly into our LMS to ensure that A, we know who's being trained, but B, the candidate will also have an account with us in our learning management system, because what we want to do, if they go to an ATP, we want to make sure that when they log into our system, they see that their training history is there. Because what you don't want is them to log into our system and then they're, well, where's my course, right? I've done a course at ATP in Germany. Why is it not here, right? So we want to make sure we have that flow back, but we don't want to touch that day-to-day kind of fulfillment, because it's enabling them to be self-sufficient and for us to concentrate on other things rather than having that admin overhead that we do at the moment.
Yeah, I'll only add that, at Skillable, we about a few years ago, we recognized the need to be able to support multiple different models for ATP programs. And so we, as Giles just described, there's sort of, multiple ways to do this. for us, we support, nearly every single one of our clients today in their programs. Microsoft does it one way, for example. Their global they call them TSPs, not ATPs, but training service providers, and it's very self-sufficient, as you said, the way they do it today. We created an e-commerce platform that allows for organizations to say, we want to monetize all of our labs and training. They set it up with us, and it's plug and play, and it goes. So now all their ATPs can sort of transact there. They can send people there. It's easy. They don't have to sort of get in the middle of it. It's much more self-service. Citrix does it yet another way. Nutanix, Veeam yet another. So, every single one of our clients today have some sort of program. And there's just multiple ways in which we can do it, centralized versus sort of decentralized.
Are you feeding back your progress through the labs back into your LMS? And is that part of your course completion requirements?
No, we don't. So they go into our LMS, they'll go in, they can download the ebook there, and then as soon as they go in, that marks them complete. Now they get 6 months access to the lab with Skillable. So they have their login to go into Skillable and complete the lab, and they can do it over and over and many times as they want. But we have we're with Docebo. The way that we have Docebo set up is that once they actually access the course, they actually marks it complete. Maybe in the future that is probably something that we do want to look at. But because I know sometimes there's a little bit of confusion, they go, well, I haven't finished my course, right? It marks them complete. So yeah, that's definitely something that we probably do need to look at.
Yeah, and I guess then a follow-up question for Mark is that something that Skillable is even able to do, to track lab progress and feed that back to the LMS?
Yeah, 1,000%. This is client dependent. We have clients today that want that data back into their LMS system. We have clients that let it reside and sit inside of our TMS, where it's just basically the platform to launch and complete the labs. And then we have clients today who literally just take the data and they just want a data feed through the API, and they just feed that data into their own BI tools and visualization tools. And AI is kind of disrupting all of that now. So yes, it's our APIs are sort of set up to be able to do exactly how clients want to do it, whether it goes to their LMS, whether it doesn't, whether it goes to a different tool or data warehouse. We support a myriad of use cases.
Are you able to talk a little bit more about how that technically works? Are you using certain lab states to mark progress? Are you using an AI visual assistant within the lab to track if somebody reaches a certain stage and feed that back? Is that...
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple layers to it for sure. One is sort of the data side that we collect and the way we do it, and the other one is like our ability to send that data somewhere. We do have AI visualization and scoring today. It's really impressive stuff. So we can actually track a user across a lab experience, understand what they do, and provide that feedback to the organization and to the user in terms of what they did right, what they did wrong. More importantly, organizations today are increasingly starting to use that data for things like just overall product experience, like understanding where people get stuck when they're going through it. They're using that to drive engagement of the platform. So yes, that data, we're collecting an increasingly impressive set of data today that no provider really is. And then again, how we package that data up and send it back is entirely dependent on what the customer wants to do. But yes, I will say this, we have an insights team and data insights team today that sits aside kind of our AI strategy team, and they are busy. And it's a really fun part of the platform today is starting to get more and more into what people are doing inside of those lab experiences, watching, understanding, providing feedback to the user and to the organization. It's fun stuff.